Hello and welcome to another episode of Pages from Apache County History with Dolly Patterson. I'm going to begin today's episode by giving a great big thank you to Ray A. McKnight for his meticulous research, photographs, a map that he conducted in the early 2000s and donated a copy to the Apache County Historical Society Museum in St. John's, as well as the archives in the Arizona Historical Society Museum in Tucson. I tried in vain to contact him to get permission to use parts from his paper and a few of his photographs, and wasn't able to, but I wish to acknowledge and to thank him because a good portion of what I use today comes from his paper. Other resources include, again, historical Arizona newspapers from the Arizona Memory Project and newspapers.com, as well as the Arizona Fallen Officers Memorial. I also want to give a quick disclaimer to this story. The newspapers from the time and throughout time that have looked back on this story have given many variations to the story. I found a 1988 article in the Arizona Republic that stated in the article that the Arizona Historical Society archives in Tucson had at least 8 different versions of this story in their archives. I will mostly be sharing what seems to be the most agreed upon version of the story, with a few little bits and pieces from other stories. And lastly, I just have to mention that the Elijah Holgate, or sometimes listed as E.T. Holgate in this story, is my great-great uncle. I hope you enjoy. In March of 1901, a bill was passed by the Arizona Territorial Legislature, creating a 14-man force of Arizona Rangers, consisting of 1 captain, 1 sergeant, and 12 privates. Each member was to provide his own firearms, horses, and all necessary accessories. The territorial government would provide ammunition, food, and feed for the horses. The enlistments were for a 12-month period. Pay for a private was $55 a month. They were empowered to arrest lawbreakers anywhere in the territory and deliver their prisoners to the nearest peace office in the county where the crime was committed. Bert Mossman, former superintendent of the Hash Knife Ranch, was made captain of the Arizona Rangers on August 30th, 1901. He began recruiting in September. The names of the Rangers were not made public to protect their identities from bandits. The 5th Ranger to volunteer was Carlos Tafoya of St. John's. Dwayne Hamblin of Nutrioso enlisted on September 20th. The first big shootout of the Rangers took place just a month later in October of 1901, right here in Apache County. There was a family of thieves who lived in northeastern Graham County at their mother's ranch on the Blue River. There were 4 brothers in this gang. Bill Smith, the oldest and leader of the gang, Al, George, and Floyd Smith, his younger brothers, a brother-in-law named Adam Slager, and 2 other men who are unidentified. In 1898, the brothers were arrested for stealing calves belonging to the ranchers Henry Barrett and Bill Phelps, near where Sunrise Lake is today. Bill took full responsibility for the theft, and so his younger brothers were released. He was then locked up in the jail in St. John's to await trial. However, one of his younger brothers smuggled him a gun, and he was able to escape, and they fled into New Mexico. After about a year, he was back in the area, and he and his brothers began stealing cattle and horses again. At one point, there was a confrontation between the brothers and Henry Barrett and Frank Brinkley near Sheep Springs. After getting out of the precarious situation, Barrett and Brinkley rode to St. John's to confront the sheriff and demand that something be done. The next morning, Hank Sharp, a sworn sworn deputy of Apache County, and ranchers Pete Peterson and Elijah Holgate rode out of St. John's headed for Greer, where Arizona Rangers Tafoya and Hamblin joined them. From there they tracked them through the mountains. They had been spotted near Pat Knoll, driving a herd of 15 to 20 saddle horses, probably all stolen. Some of the horses belonged to Lorenzo Crosby and the Maxwell brothers, Will and Arch. Crosby and the Maxwell brothers caught up with the posse near Reservation Lake. They trailed the outlaws to Paradise Ranch on Milk Creek. I just have to say that is spelled Pair-O'-Dice. Paradise Ranch on Milk Creek. I thought that was funny. Just inside the White Mountain Apache Reservation line, near the deep canyons of the Black River. The posse came upon the gang of outlaws, but were in a very exposed position relative to the gang. In the gunfight that ensued, Will Maxwell was shot and killed instantly, followed by Ranger Carlos Tafoya, who was shot through the side and died within a short time. As darkness fell, the bandits escaped through the Bear Wallow Wilderness area and eventually into New Mexico. The fate of these outlaws is up for debate, with many different versions of what became of them, especially the leader, Bill Smith. However, one brother, George, surrendered in Graham County years later, but no one was interested in prosecuting him by then. He was later hired as a deputy in Greenlee County and helped clean up Clifton and Morenci. Will Maxwell was buried in the family cemetery at New Trioso, and Carlos Tafoya's body was returned to St. John's. The whole town turned out for his funeral, and a grand procession followed the horse-drawn hearse out to the Catholic cemetery, where he was laid to rest. As you can see, Arizona and Apache County were definitely part of the Wild West, with our very own bandits and heroes and shootouts, outlaws, and good guys. And I hope you enjoyed this short little story that we shared with you today, and please join us again next time for another page from Apache County History.